All right, everybody, grab your coaches and don't you dare let go. This is season 2, episode 15 of SportSense, and we're talking about coaches being hired and fired. So, Dad, without further ado, let's get into it.
All right.
It's time to get some
Sports Sense.
You're gonna get some
Sports Sense.
You better get ready for
Sports Sense.
Sports
Sense.
Good to see you. Good to hear you. I'm ready.
Yes, welcome back to SportSense, everyone. This is the show for sports noobs. If you're new here, I'm Cooper Epps, son of James Epps, who is also here. And we cover the hottest topics in sports news, so you don't have to bother about keeping up with it or even understanding what's going on, because we're going to explain it for you. We'll break it down. This is first week of December 2025, so that means we're near the end of football, which is your favorite time of year.
College football, for sure. Yeah, we're getting closer.
The drama's ramping up. And first of all, anything you want to ramble about before we jump into
No.
topics?
Other than that, it is hard. There are so many. I mentioned this to you the other day. So much sports. There really is. And so, we really are hitting what we think are the highlights, at least I would say the number one attention getters, right? The biggest fan base, the biggest gambling, the biggest everything is what we're focused on right now. And that's college football and NFL football. And so anyway, so that's what tonight is. So you want me to kick off with a recap?
Yeah. Last week was Thanksgiving, so there's a ton of just constant football going on.
From Thursday, well, really Wednesday, but Thursday, the best of Thursday all the way through Sunday. Great games. College and NFL, it just was nonstop.
Yep. So I was able to keep up a little bit, but whenever I think I've learned something, I realize I don't know. I keep learning how much I don't know. So because I was trying to jump into conversations with my in-laws, and then they would go off about something where I'm like, okay, can you back up and explain that? So a lot of it this week was about drama surrounding the who's going to make it into the 12-team college football bracket. So I know you're going to get into that in a little bit.
Yes.
But meantime, I know there's a lot of exciting matchups that you were predicting last week. So I'll let you just talk about those things.
We'll throw it out there, especially with the NFL. These are the three that were going on Thanksgiving Day. So that's what we focused on. And believe it or not, two of them were unbelievable games. But quick, Green Bay Packers, they looked awesome. They struggled 2 or 3 weeks ago. Awesome. They beat the Lions at the Detroit Lions 31-24. Wow. I mean, all I can say is I think, they shine. Moving on. KC is on life support. Kansas City. They took another dagger to the heart in Dallas. Dallas looked really good, but it was another crazy close game. 31-28. This year, Kansas City's on the short side of losing all these one-score games. Last year, we talked about the record they had. What was like 11, 12, or 13 one-score games they had won in a row.
Wow.
Now they're like 1-8 this year, 1-7 of one-score games. So they're on life support. That's my message this week. Kansas City's on life support. Doubtful for the playoffs.
The dynasty is falling down.
Cincinnati Bengals, the great what? Go ahead. Sorry, you had to.
Is there? I mean, the NFL bracket is pretty big for the playoffs.
Yes.
Are the Chiefs possibly going to even make it into that?
They're not mathematically out yet.
Okay.
But that's why I said they're on life support. I mean, they got a little bit of life, but they got to win every game to finish the season, like 5 games in a row, and they play some tough teams.
Okay.
So they are about gone bye-bye this year. Almost. It's close, but you never know.
Crazy.
And we talked about the Cincinnati Bengals, Ravens had been on the run. They hadn't looked great, but they had won 5 in a row. They're leading their division. After they started 1-5, they were 6-5, looking good. But they played Cincinnati, and too much to their dismay and chagrin, I'm sure. Joe Burrow, the all-pro great quarterback from Cincinnati, finally came back from injury. And guess what happened? Cincinnati spanked spanked them, the Ravens 32-14. And the Ravens couldn't get offense going. And shockingly, they made the Bengals, who basically had the worst defense in the NFL, look good. That's how bad their offense was. But anyway, that's big news. Burrow's back. Big game. They won. That was cool.
Last week, I remember you said going into Thanksgiving, that was the question on everyone's mind was would Joe Burrow play, right?
And he
So that was a
played
big,
well
big,
through
big deal.
2 TDs, 249, 50 yards passing, no interceptions. He
Yeah.
looked good. On the college side, the big game was Ohio State versus Michigan.
Yes,
Michigan had beat Ohio State 4 games in a row.
which is a huge rivalry game. And you didn't mention last week that it was actually rivalry weekend.
Yes, and we didn't talk about that.
Which I
And
didn't realize.
that's because it's the last weekend of regular season college football. So
Okay.
you see all the matchups. NC State and Carolina, we crushed them. I had to throw that in there, especially for our Carolina fans and the family. We crushed them, 41 to I can't even mention how low the other part of the
To
score
be
was.
clear, we as NC State,
NC
you raised
State,
us as an NC
Wolfpack,
State
go
family.
Pack.
There we go.
But so yeah, like Georgia, I mentioned that game. We'll talk about Georgia versus Georgia Tech, Clemson versus South Carolina. These are all the games that are in-state rivalries,
Yeah.
right?
I cut you off. Yeah, go back to Ohio State, Michigan. What happened there?
So Ohio State handled the business, 27-9. The
Nice.
Michigan fans were
That's
not
handled.
happy. They complained about this or that, but they got
But
handled.
Ohio State was about due, right? Because didn't you say Michigan had beat them the past quite a few years?
Seasons in a row, 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
So Ohio State showed that they're probably the best team in the country, and that took care of Michigan. Georgia Tech is the other one I mentioned, and it was a defensive battle. Georgia won 16-9, but it was
Low
a
scoring.
slugfest. I mean, Tech really hung in there. The one that was not on my chart that I got to tell you, you remember who I picked to win the national championship?
Texas.
And I said they were dead on arrival, right? Well,
Yeah.
they upset and beat 27-17, number 3 ranked Texas A&M.
Wow.
So Texas is on the outside, on the edge, which we'll talk about in CFP. They're right on the edge of getting in.
Possibly getting
I'm
in,
afraid
yeah.
we're going to talk all about that in a minute.
Okay.
So those are the kind of the highlights. I had to throw Texas in there because they really pulled a big upset, and they have gotten better and better and better. And yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so
But
that's the recap.
they're like the Kansas City Chiefs, so people expected a lot out of them, but they're on life support come the end of the season.
Yes, yeah, but they have really come on strong. And I'll mention it right now so I don't forget about Texas. This is a real convoluted and complicated CFP stuff. Strategically, universities are very careful how they schedule these big-time universities, right? And the way they're penalizing teams going out there and signing up for a really great match. Remember, this was the first game of the season, August 31st, I believe. Texas went to Ohio State. Again, Ohio State at the time, I think, was ranked number 2. If you remember, Penn State, I think, was ranked 1, remember?
Oh, yeah.
But so basically, best team in the country. Texas was willing to play on the first game of the season. Now, most times in the past, you couldn't afford maybe having a loss, right? So they do a bunch of cupcake games, the first, easy teams to play.
yeah,
But they
warm up.
didn't. They now this is going to discourage teams like Texas doing this in the future because they lost, and they didn't play great the first half. Remember, they came back and they made it a close game. That lost, and then they had another one. They got in the SEC and they had a couple losses. But that loss right there, out of conference, right? Remember, that's out of conference. If they had taken just a little, any kind of UNC Charlotte or something for the out of conference game, they'd be 10-2 and in the playoffs.
Really? Texas would be?
Yes,
Man,
if
I
they had
thought they were
played.
struggling more than that.
No. They had 2
Okay.
losses in the SEC, which were all really good teams. They played well. So anyway, we'll talk about that right now, CFP. So that's it. Nothing, great football, and there's going to be some good NFL stuff coming on. There's like 5 weeks to go in the season. NFL is fascinating. If you want to just get a picture of something, go look on ESPN, NFL, and click on standings, and just look at the different divisions. They're all tangled up. And I love it because the biggest upset, by the way, I need to do one, and I got to do this.
I was going to
The
ask.
biggest upset of the NFL weekend was Carolina
Panthers.
Panthers beating the Rams, the best team in the NFL.
Oh, I didn't realize that's who it was. Holy cow.
Yes, we beat the Rams. Now, it played perfectly. We played great. It came to Charlotte. It was cold, rainy, 38 degrees and raining. It was miserable. And those LA boys, a little soft in that sense. But it worked out perfectly. Yeah, and Carolina looked like a real team. So they're only a half a game behind Tampa Bay in the division race. That's what I said. Go look at the division races, And 5 weeks to go,
It's still
it's
anyone's
crazy.
game
There's
almost.
it could be a million different combinations of who's going to get in on the wild card and the
Yeah.
playoffs. So a lot of fun for that.
I'd hate to be a sports bettor with the NFL this season.
No,
seems like
not-
everything's been topsy turvy.
It's crazy. So anyway, that's that. I could go on about that, but it was fun. That was plenty. Great
Yeah.
games.
Okay.
And I love that there were great Thanksgiving games. Years past, the Lions weren't good, but they played on Thanksgiving Day for, I don't know, 50-something years straight. They used to be terrible, right? Whoever they played, Dallas, they had some great years, and they were down. So, but these games were awesome. All three of them were fascinating.
Did you step away from the TV hardly?
I had to. I got to watch the Packers
were
play
on.
because we were at your grandma's, but I had to, because Don was there, and he's a huge Pack. He had his jersey on. He didn't walk away from it. He got his food. He was set. But so I watched quite a bit of that. I didn't see any of the Bengals game. Dallas, I kept sneaking a peek at, but we were busy doing so much with, after that.
With the family. It was huge family day over
But
there.
I was keeping track on everything.
Okay, I have a lot of questions going into the next. Are you ready to move into our next thing?
Let's go. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, just because I've been hearing so many people say things, that they act like everybody should understand, and of course I don't. So let's talk about the college football playoff bracket. So let's start with the basic question first. So hopefully everybody listening to the podcast now should know it's a 12-team bracket now. That's brand new as of last year, almost brand new. Okay, so my basic question is, first of all, when do we find out who's actually in that bracket?
Okay, we'll have it it'll be next Tuesday. Tomorrow night, we'll get the next bracket, which almost nothing's going to change. But we are so what is left, remember I said regular season college football is over. But this weekend, for those conferences that have a conference championship game, they've got to play this weekend. And once that's done, next Tuesday night, the brackets will be set.
Okay, Tuesday night.
Now, that gets that right there. Me just talking about conference championship games
that starts to
it starts to muddy the water of what changed, and conferences reacted years ago when there was the BCS Bowl Championship Series. They wanted to have that extra game with a champion from there to get in, because they were only picking 2 teams back then, right? Not 12, 2.
Yeah.
So, and then they went to 4. But to do that, these conferences were trying to get conference championships. The exact thinking, I can't remember. But I just know that that's when they started them, and they wanted that extra win for their conference to hopefully get in the top 2 and then 4 teams. But yes,
that was
next
them
Tuesday, a week from Tuesday, it'll be set.
Okay. Yeah, so you're saying that was them courting the committee, trying to say, hey, we're a good enough team to be in the championship.
Back then, back then it was a little different. There wasn't the same type of committee. Really? BCS had a analytical measurement, if I remember right. It was a numbered thing, and so it depends. That's why those championship series. That means you were playing a degree of difficulty game that really gave you more points in this computation that they had. So that's what I remember. Somebody can correct me, but let's talk. Go ahead. Ask
so that leads me to my next question, which is, tell us about this committee that deems teams worthy to be in this bracket. Right. Who are they? I guess you don't know their names, but who is it comprised of?
It changes a little bit every year.
And how do they? Is it totally subjective, or how do they choose?
They have a guideline that they set. Amount of wins, degree of difficulty in scheduling, good wins, bad losses. A lot of it's subjective, but they have their measurements. So let me back up though, because I have really converted to this way of thinking. I was listening, I won't name 2 of the top coaches, former coaches in college football, and anybody that's a former big-time coach or former big-time player, they all say the same thing. And I'm going to give you the rationale. Let you think through this. Committee has, in fact, y'all to Google, the mix is a variety of people. administrators from university, right? AD from a university. We had Condoleezza Rice, for heaven's sake, former Secretary of State, was on the committee at one time. So we have the real mix of people. There's not a head coach on there. So here's the crazy part. They've got to disband this committee. There's other means by which they plan to do this. Here's what the rumor, scuttlebutt was for the last 2 or 3 years. Some of the members on the committee they're so busy with the rest of their other lives that they would have underlings watch games and give their recommendations.
Yeah, that's no good. Not a good start.
No, that's bad. Bottom line is you don't have top level football people, especially college football, making this decision. Isn't that crazy? So here's the summary I heard today. I thought it was a great analogy. He said, the college football is the only business, multi-billion-dollar business that's run by volunteers. Because all these people are volunteers. They're not paid. It's what they're due once a year. And they get together and they start paying attention about 4 weeks to go in the season.
Wow.
They get in there and watch some film together. They talk it out. And boom, you get the 12 teams. So if you think about a multi-billion-dollar company being run by volunteers who only work a few days a year.
Right. Crazy. Okay.
And who aren't even experts in the field of college football teams.
Okay, so that's current, like literally this season. That's the situation. Underlings have been watching games for these people.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, that's the rumor. That's the scuttlebutt. That's the worst of it. But even the best of it is what I just described.
Yeah, people who they're not devoting all that much time. They're busy,
and it's just not their world.
Yeah, I might as well be in that thing.
You should have been on the committee this year.
Condoleezza Rice, that's crazy. Why would a politician ever be on this?
Well, she was a big football person, a big sports fan, and I don't know. They were just trying to get a mix of people.
She's a
big
name.
Yeah, this was several years ago. But anyway, so I just got that out. I wanted to get that out there. So what I'm about to say is the committee gets lucky sometimes. The right teams win towards down the stretch. The right teams win their conference. The right team wins their conference championship. It kind of eliminates people, right? Eliminates other teams who maybe were on the bubble, but they get bounced because they get their third loss or their fourth loss because down the stretch they're playing the best teams in the conference or playing the conference championship and losing, right?
So the stats make it easy for them.
Start sifting them out, and you might get one or two teams on the bubble. This year, it's not going well for them.
It's just all
like Texas,
a wash.
Really screwed some things up by beating Texas A&M by 10 points. It was ranked third. And again, their worst loss was Ohio State, or their second worst loss, Ohio State. So what's happening? So now you know, right? So tomorrow night there'll be the final ranking. The next Tuesday will be the final. Remember, for the teams, the top ranked 4 teams the committee puts out, get a bye. They do not have to play the first week of the tournament, if you will, of the championship tournament. The other 8 teams play each other. It's 4 games. And remember the way they saved the bowl season? Those 8 teams will play in 4 different bowls. So it promotes bowls still, the Sugar Bowl or the whatever bowl or the
Rose Bowl.
Today's cell phone company bowl, whatever they name it, but it's the big deal, right? Because it's one of the conference championship games. So it's really cool. I love what they've done with that because I love bowl season, and I think it's great what they do. So that's the structure. So after the first weekend, after those 8 teams play, there'll be 4 left. Those 4 that are left will play. Each one will line up with the 4 teams that have byes, right?
Okay, right.
And then you go through and you're down to
Super 8. Yeah.
Yep. And the final 4, and then there's the final 2. So that's how that structurally works, how it's set up. Now, here's the crazy part. And in fact, you ought to, why don't you look it up real quick? Look up just look up the current CFP, not the rankings, but it's just
like bracket projection.
There you go. That's it.
Okay. College football playoff projections,
All right,
predictions for 12.
Read the first four, and
All
there's
right.
going to be one that changes.
First four: Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia.
Okay, so
Okay.
of those four, we know A&M's going to get bounced more than likely. They're probably not going to
Okay.
deserve a bye because they just lost to Texas. So they'll probably get bounced. They're still going to be in the CFP 12, right? They'll still be in it, but they
Right.
probably will not get the bye. I don't know. So who's fifth? Who was fifth? Jordan? No, who's fifth?
Texas Tech.
See,
who beat
Texas
BYU.
Tech could very well. See, in the end, here, and I hate to say this, if Texas Tech beats BYU in the conference championship, Big 12, they'll probably get they'll probably get that bye. Georgia will probably move up, but Georgia's got to win the SEC championship. So there's a lot of craziness still has to happen this coming weekend. But as you see, the top 12, and you go down, see BYU, who's ranked 11th in the country, is not in that, right? Look at the 12 teams. BYU's not there.
Yeah. Right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong list.
Yeah,
so,
you're looking at the ranking.
But still, right. Still same thing. But yeah, interesting. They move out BYU and put in Virginia, who's currently ranked number 18.
Because ACC is one of the Power Five, the top conferences, and whoever wins the ACC regular season championship, they get an automatic bid. And so they're going to bounce out, even though they're not, in everybody's opinion, the ACC is down big this year. And this is another complaint of the structure. They shouldn't really be in it. Just because they're part of the ACC, that was just a negotiated deal years ago when they started this, that the big boys were going to get one from their conference no matter what, even if they sucked.
Yeah.
BYU is going to have a much better resume than any of those teams from the ACC. In fact, here's how crazy it is. The best team from the ACC might not get in. That's Miami. So right now you got Miami on the bubble, Texas on the bubble, BYU on the bubble, and there's another one that's really
Virginia
good.
looks like Tulane.
No, none of them should be, right? They haven't earned it. They've got too many losses. They aren't.
But those are two that they currently have, in the
right,
projection
because
of the bracket.
the conference championships, because of winning the conference. And how ironic would be that BYU gets bounced and Tulane gets in? Because you remember who the quarterback is for Tulane?
So, last year's quarterback for BYU, right?
Yes.
Jake Retzloff?
Yes.
That would be
Would that
crazy.
not just stink up behind quarters?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would kill me.
Yeah, okay, so you're getting into the juicy drama of everything I've been hearing about this past week. So, and even Dave Portnoy, head of Barstool Sports, is all, up in a tizzy. He thinks BYU should be in it, right?
That's what I mean. Nationally, outside of Provo and all the BYU fans, it's BYU's right there in every conversation who deserves to be in this year, whether they lose or not to Texas Tech for the second time. Be the only losses they have in the season against Texas Tech, who's one of the top 5 ranked teams in the country. And that's when you know it's crazy. It's not just us. Right? It's on ESPN. It's on Fox Sports. Everybody's basically, BYU should be in.
Yeah, top commentator. You've been in our family group chat. There's been texts flying around about top commentators in the country vouching for BYU, right?
Yeah.
Saying that they ought to be in it. Yeah, so it's pretty cool to see them on the national stage, but frustrating when it seems like people who know sports are putting them in their ideal bracket, but then this dang volunteer ragtag hodgepodge committee is trying to leave them out.
Right.
So,
but because they got painted in a corner, the way the structure is, with, like I said, the ACC automatically getting an automatic bid when they really don't have a team that's meeting the rules. They don't have a team that's meeting the standards to get into the top 12 this year. But they get one and they bounce somebody who does deserve because they get a conference. But that's the rules. I mean, that's the way it's set up. But hopefully it'll force some changes. But anyway, so that's so we'll leave it at that. We don't really have to talk it to death because the fun part will be next week after we see what happens in all the conference championship games. Just how just see what the committee gets boxed in the corner, and let's see what they end up. And the stinker one here's the last stinker one. The one that really is Notre Dame. They're not in the conference. So they don't have to play a conference championship. So they don't risk getting another loss. And they're 9-2. and they get a bye.
This says they're 10-2 now. I think after this
They're
weekend.
10-2. They beat Stanford. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they finished beating Stanford. That was nothing this year. So they're 10-2, but they don't have to play a conference championship game. See, they're not at risk of getting a third loss, which would have bounced them.
Okay, so that's like you said, I don't want to talk to death, but that's one of the confusing things that came up this past weekend. First of all, my in-laws, they were educating me about the Notre Dame thing and how they're almost never in a conference. I guess they temporarily joined one during COVID or something,
yeah,
right? But
yeah, that was ACC.
anyways.
They played ACC teams, but they never officially joined it long term.
Okay. But they have such massive viewership. They're politically popular, essentially, right? And so they're favored. They lean.
And I think that has really waned over the years. They still they were the first to have their own network, right? Football network. All these things decades ago. But I think that has petered out, and the way social media and everything else has happened over the last good period of time, there's so many other teams that are more popular than they are.
Yeah.
Nationwide.
Well, interesting. Well, anyways, I don't know. I guess point being is, I know it's controversial that they're in the race, or they're in the projected bracket right now. So, and the point I kept hearing being brought up is why, or that teams shouldn't be punished or penalized for participating in a championship game. So does that mean anything to you?
Right.
I think it has to do with what you're saying, how Notre Dame doesn't have to play in one, and so they don't risk losing again.
Right.
But, So, but like, let's say BYU, if you make it to the championship game of your conference, you can't just bow out of that, right? I mean, you have to play it.
Correct.
One of the best two teams.
You do have to play. And for BYU, and here's my thing about BYU that I'm not going to be a crybaby about. I am thrilled they're in the position they are. They failed last year at the end of the season, faltered. This year they didn't, and it's all under their control. No matter what, if they beat Texas Tech in Arlington, Texas, the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, if they win, so it's into their control. If they win, they're in. If they win, they're in. So you really can't ask for too much more than that, right? To have that, if you're BYU. I'm not talking about LSU, Georgia, Alabama, if you're BYU as a fan and everything else, you can't ask for more than that. We have our destiny in our own hands. So we just got to go out there and earn it to get into the CFP and not count on an at-large bid.
Sure. Okay. Well, I guess I just wasn't understanding the point. I don't understand why you could be penalized for playing a championship match, but is it just that you could get another loss?
You could be in a championship and you could be 10-2 also, but you go play a championship and you lose. So now you're 10-3 and you're on the outs.
Gotcha.
Too many losses.
That's the penalty. The being penalized for playing the championship. Okay. Interesting.
It's not a penalty if you're undefeated and you lose one game in the championship. You're going to get in. But if you're kind of on the bubble,
Okay. Well, interesting. Okay. Well, we'll have to see what happens next weekend. That's pretty cool. Okay. Well, and for people who aren't seeing me, I have been wearing my replica BYU jersey tonight. So
it's beautiful.
I'm in it. I thank you. I've missed the past 3 games because of weddings and just different events I've been a part of the past few weekends. So sad about that. But excited for this championship game. Go Cougs. And let's jump into our final thing. So this has blown up headlines and news outlets the past couple days. Lots and lots and lots of people talking about it. To me, if I weren't paying attention to sports, I would probably just be like, okay, just glance past my eyeballs and I'd let it be.
Right.
But now that I'm understanding a little bit more, I'm seeing it's a huge deal and people care about this. So tell us, we've talked about this coach before. His name is Lane Kiffin, and he just did something drastic. You told me had never been done before in college football. So why don't you walk us through what happened there?
So the biggest thing is he's Ole Miss head coach. In the 4 or 5 years he's been there, he brought them out of obscurity. They have not been good for a while. They haven't been good since Eli Manning was there. That gives you some idea, really, in the SEC. and he is one charismatic. He goes to the beat of a different drummer. He was raised. His father was the NC State Wolfpack coach in the '60s, and he was known for his kind of his crazy antics and how he get everybody all fired up. So he is a coach's kid. Bounced around when you're really they especially early on, you coach all these colleges, you coach in pros, and his father bounced all around. He was a defensive coordinator in the NFL for 6 different teams. He coached college, and so his son, I don't know about the other kids what they were, but Lane, his son, grew up like that, and then apparently he loved it and wanted it, and that's what he has done, and he definitely has a wild streak in him and a different streak. He has just a different streak than your average coach. And he's more like his dad, as they say. But so Lane Kiffin has been a head coach at Tennessee, USC, big school, didn't do too well. He went to the Raiders, failed miserably.
Pros,
so he did go to pros, Raiders, and then came back to Fresno State. And that's where he started back in the 90s. So he's been working his way back. And then he's been with Ole Miss and has had the best success he's ever had in his lifetime of coaching. He's 50 years old. So he has really, it is really remarkable what he's done. So when I said what's happened, so interesting enough, not what he did and what's been done that's never happened before is not that this past weekend, 5 SEC teams hired new coaches. Wow. 5 over the weekend on Saturday. As soon as the regular season games were over, man, they were hiring. What's never been done before, because we just but we haven't had a team who's 11-1 and is guaranteed to be in the playoffs, CFP playoff, have their coach leave.
Yeah, poached.
Take a new coaching job, right? So that's never happened before. Most head coaches, you got your team to that first time ever, by the way, your team into the CFP, chance for a national chance for a championship in the tournament, and you walk away from it. That's never been done. But LSU was after him, Florida was after him, and so the funny part is Lane, the ultimate, he wanted his cake and wanted to eat it right?
Yeah.
He was saying, "Hey guys, it's cool. I'm going to take the LSU job." This is what he's telling the Ole Miss AD and everybody. But here, man, let me coach it all the way through. Let's see how far we can go in the CFP. Like one guy I heard say, oh, well, it's Colin Cowherd. He says, I'm glad that they had enough self-esteem to sit there and say, no, you are no longer our coach. You are now the coach of LSU, our hated rival, you are gone. We're done.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought I'd heard that LSU said he could not coach. Playoffs, but it was his own.
But sure in fact, part of his contract, LSU's smart. What part of the contract, they're giving him a bonus based on how well Ole Miss does. Isn't that funny? That's never been done that I know of.
Okay. Huh.
Who knows? It was just an inducement, an enticement.
Yeah.
To show their support of Lane's old team. I don't know. I just never. That's crazy, isn't it? I think it was 150,000 if they win their first. Yeah, 150,000 they win their first game. Second game they get 250,000. They win their second. If they win the national championship, he gets an extra $1 million this year bonus. Yeah. And from LSU, not Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's so odd. That's weird. Okay.
So the whole thing is crazy, right? The whole thing is crazy. But that's what's never been done because he left when he had a team going to play for the national championship.
Wow.
So that's crazy.
So that's quite a stir. That's very, very dramatic. On top of all of that, last time, if you listeners remember, the last time we talked about Lane Kiffin, it was to talk about how his daughter was dating the boyfriend of his rival team, LSU. Now he's going to go be the coach of that boyfriend, which is awesome.
You know how to bring the right drama back, right? This feels like People Magazine drama or something, right? That's so good, yeah.
So, crazy. So that guy's name is Whit Weeks, and man, if you're Whit, you better perform
Yeah,
on
was
the
he a
field.
junior? He's not a senior this year, I don't think.
It
Was
sounds
he?
like it sounds like he'll be.
It's like he
I
was
don't know
a
what
junior
year,
or
but
sophomore or something.
it sounds like he'll be playing next season for Lane Kiffin. Yeah,
Is that hilarious or what? That's
so crazy. Yeah, I'm sure. And just seeing some of the clips of Kiffin, I bet he's going to be giving him a hard time in the locker room.
so. Nobody's brought this up. Do you think he took the job so he could go over there and oversee him 24/7?
Yeah, chaperone
and beat him to
yeah.
death on the field and remind him, goes by and whispers in his ears when he's dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not touch my daughter. You remember
It's
that song? You remember how you treat my daughter?
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's probably one of the greatest like potential father-in-law son-in-law relationships.
Hopefully they won't break up before all this happens. We got to have some good fodder.
Yeah. Gosh. Imagine
But that's it.
breaking
Lane
up, yeah.
Kiffin. I mean, here's the scoop. The scoop says in all of college football, probably the top two. Now there's going to be other schools who disagree. Top two coaching jobs are Ohio State and LSU.
Okay.
And so if you're in that profession and you're still only 50 years old and you've had he was a hot commodity in his early 30s. So he had a meteoric rise, and then he had some pretty hard collapse, and he had to fight his way back. You kind of can understand if that's your whole life's passion in professionally,
Yeah.
how you really can't almost turn down
If that's your dream
one or
job.
two of the top jobs in the country.
Sorry.
He says it's not for the money because Ole Miss was going to pay him about 10 a year, 10 million, and LSU's paying him 13 million a year.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that crazy?
That's a pretty big difference. Yeah, that is. The money is insane. I've heard it's almost $100 million contract for 7 years or something. 7-year.
Well, that's because it's 7. They have some bonuses in there. 7 years, 7 years, 13 million a year is base salary, and they have some bonuses and such.
Just to be good at telling guys how to throw a ball.
Well, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. That's running a big business, that's for sure.
That's
Anyway.
crazy.
Lane was kind of making himself sound like a victim because he wasn't going to be able to coach his boys, and that didn't go well, Out in there was three. Also, did you see the clip? Colin Cowherd showed this. The clip of somehow some fans knew it at the private little airport. A little private jet was after he had resigned and he'd made his announcement, and he's packing. They were leaving on the jet. They had people on the fence screaming, and all you heard on the what we could hear was you beep 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 bleep bleep beep beep beep, and then the hands were all fuzzed out.
Yeah,
they're giving them the one finger salute, and they were screaming at him. I mean,
oh man, on the tarmac.
Oh, the Ole Miss fans, right? They found
Right.
out, and they were. I don't know how long they had to stay on that fence line waiting for him to show up, but they got their money's worth for a minute.
So that's, man, next football season, there's going to be a dramatic match between LSU and Ole Miss, I'm guessing.
Yes.
That'll be interesting.
Anyway, so that's the scoop. That's the general scoop, and that's what's happening. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I can't blame someone for $3+ million more a year to switch to it.
He says it's not for the money. It really is an opportunity, honestly, and he's right. If you want a shot at a national championship, again, think about that. It's the best job, and you want a national championship. LSU's ability to recruit, not just from the portal, but recruit, is second to none almost in that southern belt and other places. They get the top recruits, them in Alabama, even them in Alabama. And he's following a guy who definitely they thought he was going to do real well, and he didn't. He fell on his flat on his face. So he's a good kind of turn the program around kind of guy, and he's going to be their savior, and it plays perfectly with his personality, and he wants the chance at a national championship. So it's not just his money. It's probably the money that's available for all the NIL deals and everything else.
That's the last point I wanted to bring up is I watched, this is, I think Tanner sent this to our DMs this week.
Yeah.
So thank you, Tanner. That he sent me a video of a guy basically saying that Lane Kiffin is gonna, as he put it, blow up college football. He basically says he might be the thing that tips the scales to get lawmakers to finally put a cap on college NIL money. because I guess they're giving Lane Kiffin like a $25 million a year allowance for recruiting. So
Right.
with
So that's what
that
I mean.
money,
They get told the budget of what's available to work with. So they're going to outspend Ole Miss, for
right?
sure.
So as this one guy on Instagram put it, he's gonna max out the pay to play thing more than has ever been done in college football before.
So you couple that with the ability to recruit. I mean, so that's
The
especially going in
prestige
the
of
portal,
LSU.
right? Going to portal, and then recruit some of the best players out of high school in the whole country. Yeah, it's
you buy up whoever you want. Yeah, you recruit whoever you want. So so LSU has potential to be the
so we'll
powerhouse
see. It's going to be
next year,
fun
right?
to see what happens next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was it. That's all I had on Lane. He's funny. He, like I said, he beat his, that's his big thing. He wasn't going to meet with the AD on Saturday after they had their game on Friday, because at 8:00 every Saturday morning, which is really cool, his family does yoga together. Have you heard all that? They do that.
No.
So that's a non-starter. They do it on Sundays. They do it on Saturday morning if they have a night game, but they always do yoga together once a week before the games or right after the game. So
Okay.
that was his big thing. They were saying, what are you going to do? When are you going to meet? When are you going to, this was everybody after him. Oh, well, first we have our family yoga Saturday at 8 a.m. I mean, you know how people take that and just,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
have
Hopefully
fun
it's
with it.
goat yoga.
I think it was hot yoga is what I think everybody was
Really?
trying to say. So I don't know, but anyway, that's what I got for you.
Okay. Well, thanks for covering all the drama with me. And yeah, if you made it this far, thanks so much for sticking around and tuning in this week. We do this every week. Every Tuesday there's a new episode, and we'll see you next time. I guess I got nothing else for you this week.
Go Cougars.
Okay. Go. Yeah, that's right. Go Cougs.
See you, buddy. Love you.
Sports
SportSense.